Hello and welcome to another of our podcast here on the Gleaner Online. My name is Damion Mitchell. Today we bring to you the secret of making your ads fly off the page, and to do just that is the man called Jake Kelderman. He's the director of the Newspaper Association of America, and he's also a co-author of Betting on the Franchise, the Future of Automotive Retailing. I beg your pardon. Welcome, Mr. Kelderman.
Thank you.
First of all, why is it important to advertise?
Well, if you don't advertise, no one comes to your door. Obviously, you don't know. No one knows that you're there, and it's a sure recipe to the end of a business, as such as it is, if you don't advertise. So it's a fundamental principle of business, if you will.
Now, of course, there are some challenges in this venture of advertising. What are some of them?
Well, the biggest challenge these days, of course, is the explosion of media that we have and the explosion of products that are being offered. It's been estimated that our typical consumer today is bombarded by in excess of 9,000 commercial messages a day. Most of those, I suspect, you are likely not even aware of, but think about it. You're driving down the street, and so all the cars that you see, those are all commercial messages because those are competing products. All the billboards you see, all the different ads, etc., everything you hear on a radio, the newspapers you pass by. So there are a prodigious number of messages. Now, how do you cut through that clutter? How do you stand out from all the others? And that is the real challenge of advertising today, and it will become even more so as we see the digital world really overtake everything. In the digital space, it's an ad wherever you turn, and oftentimes multiple ads. So how do you stand out? And I think the principles still remain the same.
And the issue of readership is also one. We are in a society where readership is said to be declining. That must present some challenges too.
Well, it's an interesting question regarding readership. True enough, if you look at it on an individual basis, probably all publications, I shouldn't say all, but certainly most publications, but all media has seen declines in participation. And that's a function of there simply being so much media that everyone is really grazing across all the media, and you simply do not have the time to read to the same extent as you had before. So I think in total, readership is likely up, or certainly attention to the news and everything else that surrounds it is up. But on an individual basis, likely, the trends are down, but down for everyone. I mean, certainly in the States, for example, the decline in television viewership has been astronomical, as has radio listening.
So then here comes the secret. There must be a secret for you to allow your ads to fly off the page. What's the secret?
Well, there really isn't a secret. It's the old standby. The way to approach something is to have a compelling message, to thoroughly understand what your brand is all about. That it's not, for example, a bank. It's financial security. So what is the real service that I'm offering? What is my compelling message? And now, how do I convey that powerfully? The tendency for most people is to overstate it, to add all the qualifiers, and that invariably leads to ads that are very distracting. And you see the most powerful ads are the ones that are the simplest. There is an essential message, maybe 2 words even. One powerful image, a lot of white space, certainly in the print media, right? And then one compelling offer, and that's it. But to get to that, you have to do a lot of thinking about what you're all about.
Now, there have been some innovations within recent times. One of the more prevalent is that of the watermarks. How has it been accepted in the market, and what are some of the other innovations?
Well, watermarks, just by way of explaining, is really a shadow ad that appears behind copy on a page. It's a bit of a controversial issue because editorial departments typically don't like for advertising to impinge on the editorial. But if it's done well and appropriate for given circumstance, then yes, it does have significant impact. It's no different than buying, for example, a full-page ad, or even what we call a double truck, which is 2 pages. And the research is fairly compelling, which suggests that those ads have tremendous impact, have tremendous recall, and are very, productive in terms of getting people to engage with that brand.
You touched on a very important issue, and that has to do with the relationship between editorial and advertising.
Right.
Of course, you would like to strike that balance and to ensure that the product reaps its optimal target. What are some of the things to bear in mind in seeking to achieve this objective?
Well, of course, I think it's a very important separation, and in many ways, to the extent that advertising tries to encroach on editorial, it drives the quality of each. Because what it will say to editorial is that our words have to be golden words, but our advertising needs to be really wonderful advertising to sit next to those golden words, if you will, right? So if everyone sort of cooperates and recognizes that we can both have a wonderful partnership here, then I think you have a real opportunity to do something special. There have been many instances where we've seen where newspapers have done special sections that are where the advertising is tied not overtly, but in a very subtle way to the editorial that runs in the section. And so it's just a matter of really planning the thing out and thinking about it and engaging your advertisers with the project itself and say, now how can we sort of tie these things together, if you will, without doing harm to either one.
And brings us to the issue of deadlines, because in any industry, deadlines are key. In this industry of advertising and the entire newspaper business, it's also key.
Right.
So should one allocate, so to speak, more time for these creative, innovative ads that will fly off the page, or should it be a run-of-the-mill sort of operation?
Well, I think you can have it both ways. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think in the world that we're heading into, it's just going to require a great deal more discipline. You have to be able to understand the needs of your advertiser, who in turn needs to understand your production issues, right? But the production issue should not really be the major concern of your advertiser. We should be set up as an industry to say, we can take these ads on these deadlines, and we can assure you that they are going to run as we say they are going to run. As long as you meet your deadline, we will meet ours, and the quality is absolutely going to be there. In fact, it's a great way to sort of impose this discipline on a newspaper entity, and this applies to the digital space as well, obviously. So.
And brings us to the point of the convergence of media, so to speak. We have more and more oligopolies popping up all over the place now, and of course the competition with the internet. Now many newspapers are online. Mm-hmm. What sort of opportunity does this provide for advertisers in terms of getting their message out to?
Well, I think we're going to use this awful word synergy, but there it is, and the key, I think, lies in understanding the relationship between print readership and online readership, and how does that flow. And typically what you see is there's a great deal of overlap, and so it allows you the opportunity really to think about, how can I tie my print ad to my online ad, which might be more dynamic in terms of what I can do online, and going the other way as well, so the two things are tied together. Further down the road, I think it also allows the newspaper media to rethink what their print product should look like relative to their online product.
Jake Kelderman, thank you so very much.
You're very welcome.
And that brings us to the end of today's podcast. We had today Jake Kelderman, the director of the Newspaper Association of America. Until next time, I'm Damion Mitchell.